So Square Enix recently released a remake of Live Alive that is totally worth its price and just definitely a better option than emulating. It uses a style called 2D HD, which is not just a buzzword, and okay, sorry, I can't help but constantly be dunking on Square Enix. Anyways, they've also announced a similar remake for Dragon Quest III a while back, so I think it's pretty likely they'll do one for Chrono Trigger. Like 98% sure they'll do one eventually. After the Chrono Cross thing and the fact that Chrono Trigger appeared in the new Final Fantasy Theta Rhythm game, I think it's pretty likely, yeah. Chrono Trigger is one of Square Enix's biggest classic games and one of my personal favorite JRPGs ever, which leads into the question of, do I think it would be actually worth it for a 2D HD style remake of Chrono Trigger to be made? And would I actually buy it? I think there are several advantages and disadvantages to something like that happening, so I'll get into it in this video. Right off the bat, remakes for older games like Chrono Trigger are a great idea. They not only make it a lot more accessible, but put the old games in the public eye again, and really make them relevant to the games industry in more ways than just their influence. Yeah, games like Chrono Trigger or Live Alive are called classics and are well preserved, sometimes even by their original companies. But if it wasn't for that remake, I feel like Live Alive, for example, would just be funny Megalovania game in the minds of modern gaming industry and not really known by the general public at all. Remakes also give a chance for the game to be improved and for flaws to be ironed out, which is a thing I'll get to later because Chrono Trigger does have a lot of flaws, despite how much I love it. And emulation is also something that's becoming increasingly accepted by the general public and is becoming more accessible, which I think is a great thing. But there will still always be a desire for things to be easy to get on modern hardware and for them to look modern as well, as flawed as that notion may be. So there will always be a place for remakes in the gaming industry, for better or for worse. On to Chrono Trigger itself. Chrono Trigger was monumental in shaping the RPG genre and the gaming industry as a whole, and it still holds up today. There's a surprising lack of things like grinding or difficulty spikes that plague other RPGs of the time, and as someone who isn't the biggest fan of other JRPGs, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I know there is a Steam and a mobile port, and the game is still talked about a lot today, but not really that many people still know about it, and I can't deny the attention and love this game would get if there was a remake. Okay, so earlier on in this video, I was pretty harsh on the whole 2D HD thing, but honestly, I really don't like this style. It was fun when they were just using it for Octopath Traveler, maybe like a one remake or two, but now it just feels boring and repetitive. The whole HD hire this man Square Enix graphics just feel like they make different games blend together, and all the original pixel art of the games just feels samey. Look at me and honestly tell me you'd be able to tell these two games apart if it weren't for the characters and gameplay. At first, the style was beautiful, but it just doesn't feel like there's that much passion in it anymore. Yes, it's accurate to its source material, but it just doesn't have the same feel. The 2D HD style is the exact same better graphics is more fun mentality that should have died in the... it shouldn't have existed in the first place. That said, what if I told you I believe the 2D HD style is the best thing that could happen to... I don't believe that. Yes, it would get a lot of attention to the game. I would love that. But basically none of the flaws from the original could get fixed or addressed in a remake like that. And I just don't see the point in it anymore. As good as it is, Chrono Trigger has a lot of flaws, which I don't see people talking about that much. Most of the characters are pretty one-dimensional. The game is like a bit too easy at times. It can be confusing, not really indicate what you're supposed to do, and it is very repetitive, but would any of those really be changed in the remake? Sure, they'll probably tweak gameplay, but the lack of depth for any character is a pretty glaring issue. The story in the game is great, but do any party members besides like Frog, who is the best character in all fiction, and maybe Magus and Robo get any character arcs at all? I don't really think so, and I can't really see a 2D HD remake fixing that. I'm not asking for Oscar-winning character development here, But the story of the game is so great, and Square has some really good character arcs in other games such as Final Fantasy, so I've always thought it was a bit odd that the characters aren't that developed in this game, which is something that definitely could be fixed with a more in-depth remake. I just can't see Square Enix doing anything about it in 2D HD, which is definitely what a Chrono Trigger remake would be. Unless, I guess they could do a Final Fantasy VII remake type thing, but that's pretty unlikely in my opinion, and is not what this video is about. So after saying all this, do I think Square Enix should make a 2D HD remake of Chrono Trigger? I don't know, I don't work there. Square Enix is a shitty company. Do whatever. I'm sure people will buy it, and then I'll just emulate it. I don't care. Not buying it. Did you guys know that Square Enix is still making stupid fucking NFT? Thanks for watching. See you later.